The devs have finally done it. Wynncraft 2.0.3 is out, and it has highlights such as adding a new storyline to the early game of Wynn, giving directions to caves, and giving hints at secret discoveries, which incentivizes players to find them without just using the wiki as a guide. But by far the biggest change is that Lootrunning has been entirely revamped. Loot chests are now client-sided, which means more loot for you when you first open a brand new chest. However, there's a catch. In the old update, chests would get more loot the more time passed without a player looting them, and the same applies with this update. If you loot a chest you've already looted, you'd get more by waiting a few hours than you would from reopening it the minute you can. Alongside this, they seem to generally take a little longer to accumulate their loot back to a full chest. This can be seen on the outside of caves. There's a loot quality meter that indicates how quality the chests within may be, and this appears to take a lot longer to refill than normal after you loot the cave. So, is that it? Did they just kill loot running? Well, yeah, traditional loot runs are probably dead, but from their ashes rise the main feature of this update: new loot runs. Effectively, how it works is simple. First, you go to the Silver Bull Company building outside of Sinfras at the coordinates shown on screen. And then, sign up for the Loot Run division by talking to the Loot Run Master at the back of the building. This gives you access to the Lootrunning NPCs. One is located in Caucus at the following coordinates, and the other in Lutho at the following coordinates. There's also a chest there near each of them, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, once you've picked out your gear, the loot run begins. And after a while, a few randomly colored beacons appear in randomized locations in the area. The beacon's colors indicate an effect that will occur once you reach the location, such as yellow increasing the loot of the run, blue giving a boon that lasts the whole run, and purple giving every enemy a buff in exchange for you getting an extra roll from that shiny chest at the end of the loot run. Once you make it to a beacon, you must undergo a challenge, generally either being a slay challenge or a spelunking challenge. Slay challenges involve slaying hordes of mobs, and spelunking challenges involve going through a specific cave and gathering all of the chests inside. Once a challenge is complete, a chest full of loot will spawn and a new set of beacons will appear. The loop repeats. There's also a timer constantly ticking down, which goes up whenever you either make it to a beacon or clear its challenge, and the loot run ends when you either die, complete all possible challenges, or time out. Upon completing the loot run, you can interact with the loot run chest. This chest has a predetermined loot pool that will update every week or so, which will feature mythics and below, emeralds, keys, and the all-new shiny mythic type. You get to roll this loot pool a certain amount of times after every loot run, and the amount of rolls you get is dependent on how well you did in the loot run. And once you get those rolls, rinse and repeat. In my opinion, this new loot run activity is one of the most well-executed endgame activities in all of Wynncraft. The variety of beacon spawn locations, challenges, buffs from beacons, and loot makes every single run feel extremely distinctive. Alongside this, you can even level up and unlock new beacon types like orange, cyan, or vibrant beacons, which further mixes things up. And the loot run chests letting players see all potential rewards gives incentive for players to actually do the loot runs. Plus, the clean animation of opening the loot run chest is very satisfying. However, there are also two improvements I'd recommend to this system. One is just a suggestion, but the other is a critical issue which needs to be fixed before it leaves the beta. To cover the critical issue, basically for whatever reason when entering caves featured in loot runs, mob and boss spawning can suddenly stop working, which results in situations where you can be sat waiting for a boss to spawn for extremely long periods, or being forced to slash lobby and redo the cave several times before mobs spawn. This bug might be a result of the current client-sided system, because occasionally I'm able to spot or hear spells being cast by mobs from someone else's client when this bug occurs. As a result, the process of unlocking the loot runs can be really drawn out since you need to clear all of the caves in an area to unlock the area's loot run. And this bug can also result in effectively soft-locking a player's loot runs, which forces them to either time out or /kill. The mobs essential to spelunking challenges should be client-sided and need to always spawn in whenever someone enters a cave for this to be fixed, and I think it's currently the only glaring issue with new loot runs at this time. As for my suggestion, add a multiplayer mode. The suggestion definitely isn't an essential change that needs to happen, but considering this mode is already so fun to solo, I'm sure potentially including a co-op mode or versus mode in the future could be an excellent decision. Anyway, to summarize, old loot running is dead, and from its ashes rises an all-new late-game activity that's some of the most fun I've had playing Wynncraft for a while. This has been DuoFace, And if you come to the on-screen coordinates at Caucus, you can find a loot chest that's merged with a trade market stand. Have a good one!